And what got you into backpacking? Because you've been backpacking for how long?
Since I was 7 or 8, probably. I guess my dad, more or less, he backpack hunted back in the 70s. We did a few trips before, I was old enough to hunt, I guess, before he turned 12. But then right out of the gate from there on, we essentially backpacked. That's kind of all I knew, I guess, in terms of hunting. Outside of some late blacktail stuff, we day hunted, but everything else was pack-in hunting. And he had one mule we used sometimes, and then sometimes without the mule. But
Nice.
I'm definitely not a horseman. I have no animals now. Should
It's
probably get some in my future, but
it's so hard, dude, because when you backpack and there's no animals, it is
yeah,
a really refreshing sense of freedom. Versus animals are great. Once you kill something, you're like, man, it's
yeah,
great to have this animal. But the whole hunt leading up to it, it's just interferes with your peace and solitude.
yeah. They suck. I mean, more or less. And there's always like, we didn't do it professionally, obviously. Like, it's not like we have the mules out every week. And so there's always a train wreck going in, like something falls off, one runs, it's always something. And then you got to care for them every day. And I think you guys are probably, and I don't know this, but I get the idea. You might be kind of like me in style and the fact that you guys move camp a lot, I take it.
Almost every day.
Yeah, which a lot of people don't like to do, but it kind of drives me nuts not to. Like that's my thing. And when you
Especially,
have animals, it's too much crap to move all the time.
I agree. There's a sense of freedom that comes from no animals, and I like to hunt with my camp on my back, and
Yeah.
I've hunted with a lot of backpack hunters who hate that. They want to spike camp, and then they want to go out and hunt and chase and stuff, and then come back. I'm kind of like a diesel engine. Like the load, whether it's 30 pounds or 65, like I move at the same speed,
Yeah.
and I feel a similar sense of tiredness with it as with I don't have it. What gets me more tired is, let's say we chase elk for 6 miles and I carry a 50-pound pack, and then I can just camp right on the elk, or I carry a 20-pound pack all day and I go 6 miles and then I got to hike back 6 miles to my spike camp. My body and my conditioning, my fitness, I'm better carrying the slightly heavier load and just stopping whenever I feel like it or hunting with it. I don't feel phased by it versus, I talked to Corey Jacobson on Elk 101, and Corey's like, carrying a heavy pack crushes him. He'd rather hike 17 miles round trip in one day. I'm like, I'd rather go, 8.5 miles and stop and just carry my stuff. And I like the freedom of being able to have everything there all the time. Like I don't like it when I get out there and go, oh dang it, I wish I had this, but I left it at spike camp.
Yeah, and you never know what's going to end up, so it's nice to have everything. But the other thing that gets me too, it's not as bad late season. Like I was over there kind of across the river from you guys when you did your deer hunt last fall. And like that time of year, you have so much time in the dark that you can
Yes.
do a lot more moving around, but not sleeping is what crushes me. Like I can go without food. I survey timber all year. So on average, I hike 50 to 60 miles a week pretty much all year. So I can do the distance and I feel the weight a little bit because I hike all year without a pack. But having to do 2 or 3 hours after dark and then you want to get back on the elk, so you do 2 or 3 hours before dark, like you're trimmed down to 4 or 5 hours of sleep. And I'm not going to not be there at light. That's what you really give up. And that's what kills me.
We're the same. I say this to Ryan a lot. Like sleep is everything to me. So as long as I get rest, I can repeat day after day
Yeah,
after day, week after week, month after month, intense activity. But once you make me pull an all-nighter,
it's over.
I'm over. Like I am really messed up for days. I get swollen hands. I get some
Yeah.
inflammation. I get tired. Like the sleep is king. And Ryan will want to pull an all-nighter in the middle of the night and hike all night and then get to camp and then just sleep most of the day. And I'm like, why not just sleep here
Yeah.
at night when you're supposed to, and then hike out in the day, so we you got to know you, I think, especially, and the more you get to know what your strengths and weaknesses are, the more you can really capitalize on performing at your highest level.
Yeah, and I quit the all night drives because of that. Like they're awesome because in theory you get an extra half a day, but it's not worth it because I'd drive all night or I'd get up at midnight and leave, so it can be, if I'm going to Idaho, say it's 14 hours. If I get up at 3 in the morning and leave, I might actually get to hike in that same night. But then you're crushed for 3 days. So it's like, yeah, you got an extra half a day in, but then you lost Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday because you felt like crap. So
That's I'm the same way. Like we're really on the same page there. Some guys, I think they just like Anthony, my buddy Anthony, if you even Ryan, they can. It doesn't seem to bother them that much. Their weaknesses lay in other areas. That's not it for me. Sometimes we'll finish a hunt, and other guys will drive all night to get home the next morning. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna sleep in my canvas cutter in my truck or something, and then I'm gonna leave early in the morning to try to get home. Because what happens when I get home after I pulled an all night drive home? I just sleep all day. It's not like I'm hanging
yeah,
out with my family. So
right.
I try to sleep when it's sleep time, be awake when it's wake time, and just slow down a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, some guys, like you said, it's other things, it's food or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
those things don't hit me nearly as hard. But yeah, sleep gets me.